All right, from a fantasy perspective, what do you think that this does for the new big three that is going to get crushed by the CBA in a matter of years? But just a whole nother thing. But what are your initial fantasy reactions to this?
I can see the excitement just because you have three-star players, but I think we need to take a step back with regard to Bradley Beal. Very talented scorer, but he hasn't played more than 60 games in a season since 2018-19. The max would be 60 in the 2020-21 campaign. Other than that, it's been 50, 50, 40, 57, 40, and 50 games. So that's another reason why the Suns' lack of depth at this point is a major concern, because you're going to ask him, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant to take on an extremely heavy workload. And all those guys have had injury issues in recent years. So I think that may be why they held DeAndre Ayton back in this deal, because I don't know if they're going to be able to hold on to him because of their need for depth. I think they only have 6 players under contract right now. And he's that one carrot that they can probably move for depth to help that team and maybe replenish some of the draft capital that they've lost in the Durant and Beal trades. So I think fantasy-wise, I think Beal, I'm kind of thinking, top 50. I've been high on him in the past, only to be bitterly disappointed. I'd like to see what they do at that point guard position. Is it Cameron Payne starting? Do they ask Beal or Booker to take on those responsibilities? I think that's going to be the key question to answer before we really delve into his fantasy value next season.
Oh man, I got a few thoughts here. I agree with the fact that I wouldn't pay for Bradley Beal by name at this point. The reliability or lack of availability on the court is just a huge concern. And then also, it's not like he's been. I mean, he did shoot 50% from the field last year, which is that was his best mark of his career. But if you look at his 3-point, I mean, you got to imagine he's going to be some doing mostly catch and shoot type of things. I imagine Booker and him would probably rotate playing point guard a little bit more. But I mean, he's 2 years removed from shooting 30% from the 3-point line. Traditionally, I'd say he's about a 35% shooter, 3-point shooter. And the assists, he's always good for at least 4 or 5. Rebounds 4 or 5, so like kind of similar to Devin Booker's stat lines a few years ago. But I feel like he's going to take a hit in the points department. I don't see him getting 25, 26, or even like the 30s, obviously, that he was getting earlier days when he was actually healthy. He's averaged 23 points over the last couple of years, so I'm expecting that to be more like a 20, 25 and 5 kind of guy, which top 50, I'd probably move him back a little bit more. But he's still a mid-round pick. Like, I think he's going to be fine. Obviously, with more attention going to Durant and Booker, maybe that opens up more offense for him and efficiency-wise. But, this is just an interesting move. They got to move Ayton, though, because their depth is just non-existent right now. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting Ayton to probably be moved here. They're not going to be able to afford to have all those guys on the contracts that they're making beyond this year. So let's go to the Washington side of things. Chris Paul, he's been moved around a lot. Know that there's a meme going around with him, John Wall, and Russell Westbrook seemingly swapping squads. Do you think he's going to stay in Washington? And if he doesn't, what do you think that he's, is his next destination?
I can't see him staying. Like, his timeline is too different from what the franchise's timeline appears to be. They're clearly in a rebuilding mode. Now, if he were to stay, I think if they were to say draft Anthony Black with the 8th overall pick, the point guard out of Arkansas, he would be a good mentor for him. They still have Monte Morris as well, but you learn from a guy who's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer whenever his career ends. That'll be great for Anthony. But I don't think it's going to happen because, he's still on that quest for a championship. I think he winds up in LA. Whether it's the Clippers or Lakers, we'll have to see. But I think those are two franchises that both have needs at the point guard position. And they're both spots where he may not have to do as much from a scoring standpoint as he did in Phoenix, just because even though they had Booker and Ayton, besides that, before the Durant trade, they really didn't have too much in terms of offensive firepower overall. So I think either LA spot would be a good situation for Chris Paul. That's kind of what I'm expecting at this point.
Yeah, me too. I'm expecting him to go to either the Lakers, which makes a ton of sense just because he's boys with LeBron, has experience playing with him. I think that lob threat with AD makes a lot of sense. He doesn't have to do a lot in an offense like the Los Angeles Lakers. Just, be a high IQ point guard, don't turn over the ball. Pretty much everything that Russell Westbrook was not in that situation.